they got the knowledge you crave. Hard hit, insight gonna make you win. Listen up, closely let the games begin. Top pick sleepers every week I spin. The FF universe, it help you win. The fantasy football universe.
Fantasy Football Universe, welcome into another episode of the FFU Roundtable. The Three Musketeers are here. Myself, S.C. Romero, with Jeremy Sobin and Jesse Moeller. Jeremy, how's it going today?
Bro, listen, I was picking glass out of my hair yesterday. I had a shower door break over me. Thankfully, only minor injuries on the hand. But today I'm picking paint out of my hair. I'm doing all sorts of work around the house, but it's all to get ready for the fantasy season. Got to deal with my wife if I get the projects done. We're good, ready to watch football on Sundays. So working hard so far.
There you go. Well, like Jeremy is shattering, doors and, getting all the glass on them. We're probably going to shatter some dreams today and talking about some guys that we are out on. But before we do that, Jesse, how are you doing today?
Oh, that was so smooth. I love that. Yeah, I feel like the ending of our intro with the astronaut kickback we just had, that's like me right now. I'm just like in a don't give me what mode. So yeah, I'm very much there. My daughter's got like a fever of 102. We're trying to make it work. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's going well. Such is life.
Definitely hope for a sweet recovery, a healthy recovery. Hopefully the fever doesn't last too long. Fevers are a pain for sure. As you know, Jamie's in the show. Jamie, what's up, man? Thanks for joining in. Today we're talking about hype. Tis the season. Really for us, it's all year, right? We hype up guys, we de-hype guys. I don't know if that's a word, but it's about building the hype for your trade candidates or trade bait, I guess you could say, but also buying into some of the hype too. And that's exactly what the preseason does. It gets into this aura of there's this natural hype around certain players. We see them make a big play, and you're like, "Ooh, they ran for 70 yards," and then you realize it's against third string. You're like, is that really something, or is it, do we need to be paying more attention to? And that's what this episode's going to be about. Talk about the camp guys we're in on, guys we're out on, as some games are being played right now. There's some big plays happening in some of them. But yeah, and I think Jeremy, you're going to be doing a mock after this as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, we're going to keep it simple because of all the craziness going on. Just be straight PPR. I am in the process of setting up the room. I will drop that link here in the YouTube chat in just a minute, so look out for that. You have to copy and paste it, but if you want to join, we'll fire it up about 40 minutes from now.
Perfect. And yeah, if y'all have not been following, Jeremy with the FFU has adjusted ranks. He's been doing 30 days, 30 mocks. Great series to be a part of. Different mocks all over. I think it's like doing ESPN draft, and I'm like, man, ESPN's still doing its thing. No, but definitely ESPN, Yahoo, half PPR, full PPR, super flex, single QB. Mm-hmm. Jerry's been doing it all. So if you're interested in doing that, you have your home league drafts coming up. This is a great source for you. So go check out previous episodes or hop into this one because it's definitely going to help you dominate your leagues. You're playing against your little brother and you trade him, Daniel Jones for Patrick Mahomes because you just do a hype thing. I don't know. You're making these crazy trades in your home league. We see it all the time. But without further ado, let's talk about some of the guys that we are in on right now. Are you putting up the graphics in a certain way here?
Yeah, who's going first?
Let's do Jesse's.
That was it up, baby. Let's do it.
Jesse, we're going to do your buy first.
Oh, yeah.
Hang on, I have to figure out who it is. I got it. Okay. Now I have to figure out. Listen, technology, not the strong suit. It took me 4 different ways to figure it out, but here we go. I'm ready. We're firing up. So it's in there, SC, whenever you're ready to hit it.
Oh, Jesse's buy right now.
Oh, no, it's not.
Time, but I can make the
it's not.
If you want.
That's Jeremy's phone. Let's do it.
There we go. Take your guy.
All right, we'll go. Oh, it's gone. We're going to see if it comes. All right, we'll do it. We'll go. We'll go first.
So Jeremy's buy is none other than Vikings quarterback JJ McCarthy. We saw Sam Darnold have a great season last year. JJ, it could have been him, but he got hurt. So he's primed for a big opportunity. We know Justin Jefferson is there. Jordan Addison has a suspension. Still TJ Hawkinson. They have the forgotten Aaron Jones, who are guys at Dynasty Dogs hyped up as well as a solid buy just because he's getting under the radar. Jeremy, why is JJ McCarthy a buy for you right now?
Yeah, I've been saying it all offseason, and it's not JJ McCarthy himself, although I think he's certainly capable. My bigger, I guess, buy argument is everything around JJ McCarthy. It's the improved offensive line. It's the improved run game with the addition of Jordan Mason. It's the improved, weapons with TJ Hawkinson back for a full season. We're missing Jordan Addison for a couple of games, of course, but hopefully getting a healthy Justin Jefferson, not at the moment, but hopefully he gains full health by week 1. TJ Hawkinson fully healthy. So the weapons are theoretically improved. And then, of course, Kevin O'Connell is the same old G, just the best play in the league. So it's everything else around JJ McCarthy. The way I view JJ is as if he's, 2 years ago, Brock Purdy, where, he's coming into a fantastic situation. He's going to perform better than you like. He's going to run more than you think. And I just love JJ for the upside that he gives you. But also, I think this Minnesota team, as we know, is going to score points, whether we like it or not.
Yeah, I agree with who's the quarterback, Cal. Jesse, I mean, you were going to go on and say you could say this is a good buy as well. What are your thoughts on McCarthy?
Yeah, I like McCarthy. The system and everything around him. Like, you don't even have to really like McCarthy. You just have to like the situation he's in, and that's kind of the case Jeremy's making, right? So you have everything around him. You have one of the best skill position groups in the NFL. You have one of the best play callers in the NFL. You have a really good offensive line that has been improved. I know maybe like it's not the best offensive line, but they're improved from the issues they had last year. And you're getting a young, promising rookie quarterback who, remember this time last year, people were talking about him potentially like pushing his QB1 in the class. There were people that made that case for him. I think it's a little stretch for him, but yeah, he's a good productive player who's kind of sneaky athletic. He doesn't run as much as we'd like. Like, he's not going to give you 100 yards in the game, but he can give you 30. He can get you there. And if he gets you there, like, that's +3. And that offense, everything is set up for him to succeed. So he just needs to not be terrible, and he will be good in the system. And I think he can very much do that for you. So I think he's very much a high floor play. And if he hits the ceiling, you're talking about a guy. We've seen it with Darnold. We've seen it with the guys before him, Kirk Cousins. They've been potentially just perennial QB1s in this system. So it's like, why not JJ McCarthy is the way I'm looking at it. So yeah, I'm very much with you on it.
So would there be a system opportunity, again, arguably one of the best, not if the best wide receiver in the league right now, and Justin Jefferson, one of the top tight ends when he is healthy, a solid, valued veteran running back that knows how to really assist and make big plays, in Aaron Jones? What is the buy for McCarthy then? Like, what are you trying to offer to go out there and get McCarthy? In my opinion, if you're not competing, you may not even want to trade him, though, because you're not competing. He's young, right? So you have to give up something heavy for him. What are you thinking of giving, Jeremy?
Well, he's minimum a first-round pick, right? So that's kind of where the discussion starts. I don't think anyone's giving him up for anything less than that. And then, of course, it depends, like you said, is it projected to be an earlier first-round pick? Is that something that you're willing to give away? I think you probably need to do a first-round pick plus. You probably need to, pair it with kind of an upside-ish player. I'm not
Harvey.
Exactly. Yeah. RJ Harvey for sure in a super flex league, right? That's interesting. I might ask for a little something back on JJ McCarthy and see if I can get a little extra on a guy like Harvey. But, maybe a, Zay Flowers in a first for JJ McCarthy and, a second or something like that, or a third. Maybe that's something that will work. I just think there's a lot of options that you can do, but it starts at a first, and then you kind of have to work out the ancillary pieces there.
Just any thoughts on that? The first and plus, or are you giving up multiple firsts to go acquire him?
Yeah, like if you look on Dynasty Data Lab, he's going for a first and a third, a first and a second. There's ones where it's like, it's basically you're getting for like trading Penix for McCarthy. Someone basically did a swap for that. So you can do the guys. There's a rookie, the Cleveland Browns rookie, who basically beat all the allegations. We'll see. Quinshon Judkins is valued right around there. I think that's a solid swap if you want to do that. RJ Harvey. There's a lot of players in his range of outcomes you can make the case to move off of. So, he's a quarterback in Superflex, and I always like buying quarterbacks in Superflex. So yeah, I think the floor is really good in that range for him.
And then I just want to bring up the fact that, like, we were doing this with Brock Purdy early in his career, and of course now we're talking about the difference between Mr. Irrelevant and Brock Purdy and a guy who went early first round. It was the 112 that JJ McCarthy went. So, we're talking about a difference in skill level, and the only knock that we've ever had on McCarthy is we just haven't seen it enough from him, right? And so maybe it's not completely there, but who's seen it enough from him? One of the best offensive minds in the league. They drafted him, they've developed him, he's in the system, and then of course we saw what Sam Darnold was able to do, where he was able to do it nowhere else. All of a sudden steps into the system. Josh Dobbs, someone who stepped into the system a year ago. It's who is the Nick Mullins, right? I think is the other guy, right?
Mulligan.
These guys have all had success. So why not JJ McCarthy, and why not right away? You can also get him, not super flex leagues, but in redraft right now. He's going in the 11th round. So I like him as a late QB option in redraft. And then in Dynasty, I think I've been picking him off in the 6th, 7th round of super flex startups.
That's not bad at all, especially 11th round. That tells me I'm going to pump my quarterback situation and go after him there. Our good friend Jamie says, I'd rather have McCarthy over Cam Ward, so 102 for McCarthy. Yeah, if you're doing your drafts, I think that's pretty good. Now, I just want to hit on this point because you're talking about the system. Like you're buying into really the system, not necessarily McCarthy. Sure. In 2023, I'm going to read off some numbers. QB5, QB8, QB1, QB10, QB4, QB10, QB10, QB9, and even QB11. That was JJ McCarthy's backup, Sam Howell in Washington. If you're buying into the system, this is just my point. In Superflex League, sometimes it's hard to come across quarterbacks. It's harder to get starting quarterbacks at that point, too, especially right now. Everyone thinks, I can compete and stuff. So you have an opportunity to possibly buy low on a backup quarterback in Sam Howell. McCarthy's already had an injury, missed a full season. You mentioned the system is good. How's that backup? You can get him on a low price and potentially have someone that could come in and do something. I just think that's something to consider when you're thinking about these, because if you go get McCarthy, go pay a 3rd or a 4th for Howell as well, and now you have that backup as well, or go get Howell first, and now you can trade him if that system comes around again, because, again, he missed it. It was his season last year. Darnold came in, took the league by storm, was a top 10 quarterback. So Howell has some mobility to him. He has an okay arm. It's not the best, but you have those options there. I think he could be there. Jamie says, I drafted Howell today in a Dynasty startup in the 28th round. Very nice.
There you go, baby.
Again, sometimes you got to get those late guys and just you hope that something can happen and it pops off. And, hey, I just think Sam Howell's worth the consideration. I don't hear a lot on his name. But, again, we know the system works there, and he could be something that ends up winning you the lead down the stretch, possibly. Don't go give a first round. I'm not saying that, but definitely buy low on him there. Who are we doing next year as our buy here? That was JJ, the first one.
Well, I think let's give it to Jesse, because we were supposed to do Jesse's, and of course I mistakenly put up mine instead. Jesse's guy is right here.
So let's talk about Jesse's. His is another quarterback though, and this is a true rookie. Let's talk a little bit about Jaxson Dart. Jesse, I'll let you take away with the high swinging upside quarterback in New York.
Yeah, 100%. So I think even without even making the case for this player specifically, what you're buying is a first-round rookie quarterback he's mobile. The situation's good. If you go back to 2022, Daniel Jones was a top 10 quarterback. Daniel Jones was not as good of a passer. Like I think Jaxson Dart is a much better passer. The tools are much better with him. What they did with Daniel Jones in that system is they rushed. So similar to McCarthy, he ran a lot. And if you're ready, he ran over 100 yards a couple times with that. What I like about Dart when we get in specifically is the situation. You have Malik Neighbors, who is one of the best, if not best, like right with Justin Jefferson right there. I think the talent around him is not as bad as people will give it to you, and the situation's good. If we look at Jaxson Dart specifically for him in college, he improved every year. His yards per attempt went up every year. His passing yards went up, and he got better and progressed to where he earned that first round pedigree. Now I know the situation, people don't like that, the play caller system at Ole Miss, because of like the offense they run. But I think he's one of the more talented quarterbacks. I just don't think the difference if we look at ADP between him and the 101 this year, Cam Ward, like it should not be that drastic of a difference. If we look where he goes, where Cam Ward goes, like it's pretty different. Cam Ward's going in the 4th round of startups. If we look for Jaxson Dart, he's going in the 8th round of startups. Like that's a 4-round gap. I don't think it should be that big. And the way I look at it is there's not a younger QB we know is starting next year. He's the cheapest one of those guys. Like besides him, it's like Anthony Richardson. We don't know if he's starting. We know next year Jaxson Dart is starting. So you're buying him basically at his floor right now. And if he's starting next year, his value is going to rise without even playing a game. So he doesn't even have to play this year for his value to increase. It's automatically going to increase. It's like buying a future first is the way I look at it. And if he also does play and he succeeds, his value is going to go up. So I think there's really no way for his value to go down. I only see his value going up in the short term next year. So I think that's what you're buying into. And then you look at it, he's a guy who's ran for over 400 yards, ran for over 300 yards next season. So, and I know like people have issues with the head coach and OC there. They might not be there. But if they are there, they can develop that. And next year, 2026, like you look at a guy who could be a very good young quarterback. So that's my case for buying Jaxson Dart. Like I think the floor is really high and the ceiling's there too. So I'm all aboard buying Jaxson Dart while the discounted price is there.
I love it. Jamie's on board with it too. He says I prefer Dart in Dynasty over Cam Ward, especially for value. Seems like he's not a fan of Cam Ward. But no, Jamie, what are your thoughts on Jaxson Dart there?
Well, Jesse was referencing it, right? We want these mobile quarterbacks. It's kind of the reason why I think JJ McCarthy is sneaky in addition. Jaxson Dart is not sneaky. I mean, he's running the ball all over the yard. At Ole Miss in his 3 seasons, he ran for 614, 389, 495 yards in those seasons. I did the math way earlier this offseason. We like to laud Jalen Milroe. And, for his rushing prowess, and he's a phenomenal rusher of the football. There's no doubt about it. But Jalen Milroe in college had something like 41 yards per game. I'm trying to think what the math was. Could have been 38. Either way, Jaxson Dart was roughly 34 yards per game at Ole Miss. So Jaxson Dart does not get the credit that that Jalen Milroe does as a runner. He's not as dynamic. He's not as big, right? Those things exist, but Jaxson Dart can run the football, and that's kind of what we're looking for at the QB position when we're looking for values. And he's already kind of going off in camp. Everybody's very happy with him and what he's able to do. We saw in the preseason game, albeit albeit against, the fourth team guys or whatever it was. But, the hype is there, and I'm buying it as well.
No, I love that too. And he's someone where I think he's going to benefit. Like there's talk that he could start possibly week 1. I've heard more so that he's not, though. I heard it's going to be Rush, which I think is even better for him because we mentioned the weapons aren't necessarily elite. Obviously, as Malik Neighbors an elite weapon. But then outside of that, you're in question. Tyrone Tracy looked great. They brought in Cam Scatterboo. But those are good guys that can check down. That he's going to be a good check down throw. And guess what? That's going to benefit Dart as well. The beauty about Jameis Winston and Rush being there is he's learning how to play hero ball from Jameis, like what not to do. Because Jameis can, if he's in the quarterback, you're like Malik Davis to the moon because he doesn't care. He's going to throw it down there. Just Malik Davis will catch it. Russ is more of a smarter quarterback, but we also seen that rushing upside from him where he knows when he needs to evade and escape the pocket to add more for his team, but also for our fantasy team. So I really think these two quarterbacks mentoring Dart and not having Dart start week 1 is going to do him better because he's going to learn in the system that they're in and say, look, this is what we've been through. These are 2 veteran quarterbacks that have been in the league for 10 years, have been in multiple situations, multiple systems. He is getting a great coaching tool. And if you're able to get him now before he's starting, especially if week 1 comes around, he's not the starter, people may be wary and like, oh, I need to try to trade off him and get some value. Dart looks like he's the future, and this is a big opportunity for him because right now they don't have anything. If he comes out and becomes that franchise quarterback, they're going to build around him, and they already have one elite weapon. You love these combos of a elite wide receiver with the talented quarterback and now build around this quarterback. It could be to the moon. So this is, like Jesse said, this is the lowest you're probably going to buy him. And it might not even be that low right now, but you still want to go out there and do it. Jesse, first, obviously, for Dart as well.
Yeah, I'd happily give a first. Like you're seeing, his trade value is higher than his ADP value, and that kind of shows you how people feel about him. So it just really shows you like when people have him, they want to keep him, they don't want to trade him. Right. I think the lowest I saw him go was maybe like straight up for Bryce Young or like where is it? There's deals where he's in a lot of like he's been bit pieces. There's a package deal he was in to get Drake May. There's ones where it was like Tyler Higbee in a first is probably the cheapest you'll see. So in that range of where you're talking about a late one, I would pay mid first for him. And this, like, if he was basically that cost for me, like, I think he's a really good young quarterback. So yeah, I would play that for him.
So Jeremy, I'll ask you then: Jaxson Dart or Bryce Young?
Think Jackson. It's really close. Yeah. That's a really good question. I'll go Bryce Young. I believe more in the situation. I think Jaxson Dart could have a potential setback if, like Jesse's suggesting, Daboll and company are out of town. Then he's got to learn a new system. But yeah, I'll go Bryce Young, but that's a really close one. But to Jesse's point, to a Giants fan in a home league, but a guy who loves football and knows fantasy and was rebuilding, I sent Jaxson Dart 26 first and 26 second. I got Bijan Robinson.
There you
Oh,
go.
I love that. I'd take
That'll
Bijan
do
all
it.
day.
That'll do the trick.
Bijan's a top tier. He also said Jaxson Dart or Drake May. Sherry for
May.
Yeah. And then I have what Jaxson Dart or Trevor Lawrence. I feel like Dart could be same kind of not a top 5 quarterback, but he can squeeze into a top 10. Lawrence has done that, but he's gonna be a fringe like top 15 if it all plays out well.
I'll go T-Law, but that's close as well.
Yeah, and those guys are all like 3 or 4 rounds above Jaxson Dart in startup ADP, which I think it just shows you how mispriced he is in startups, is the way I'll phrase it.
I agree.
And JB agrees. Well, he said Dart over Young unless Young comes with a step stool. That's funny. And then he says May over Dart by a good amount, for sure. Let's go ahead and put up my buy on there. We'll get into a non-quarterback, and I actually hate that I'm saying this because it's Cowboy. But my buy is running back here, Jayden Blue. Look, the Cowboys running back situation is what? Javonte Williams and Miles Sanders, Devon.
That's it.
Is there? It's very limited. There is upside here. Reason why I say that Superflex quarterbacks are very hard to come by. A solid running back can be too. And Jayden Blue has worked in the committee when he was at Texas. He showed he could still be effective there, getting some good chunks of change, good chunks of yards. The offensive line isn't horrible in Dallas. It's solid enough that Jayden Blue has his quick, smooth skills to evade the pressure, get off the tackles, and make some big plays. He has that home run speed. Right now, he's not considered the starter. He's like 3rd on the depth chart. You can buy him super low, and I think he can necessarily be one of your running backs that you end up plugging in at the end of the season that comes away as a strong ending. He can easily eclipse 800 yards and 6-7 touchdowns. And I don't think that's bad for a running back there that you can acquire probably for a couple of thirds, maybe a 4th, or even go. I would trade J.K. Dobbins. Go trade J.K. Dobbins to get Jayden Blue because there's injury prone with Dobbins, and Harvey's in the backfield as well. Blue's not the starter. Dobbins is looking like the starter, but we've been on this train before. J.K. Dobbins, I love your talent. I love what you do, but we've seen this. And they brought in R.J. Harvey, who looks like he could be an Ali Kamara type of role. Your times might be dwindling too, where Jayden Blue, he may get this opportunity and end up being a league winner. Jeremy, I'll start with you. What are your thoughts on Jayden Blue?
Yeah. Look, I think you referenced the argument there. The argument is, first of all, we have no clue who is in this backfield in Dallas, in terms of who's going to be the number one. Javonte Williams, yeah, maybe he probably should be, but he never came back from injury, the same guy, and he never fully put it together on the field over in Denver. You got Miles Sanders, who, yeah, he has been the guy, but he's never been super explosive. He's more of a volume hog. So it's really going to come down to a couple of things. I think for Jayden Blue, number one, it's going to come down to pass protection. That team is going to pass a ton. Can Blue pass protect? I think, Miles Sanders is probably the better option there at this point. Fair. But, Blue can earn that role over time. At the same time, maybe he doesn't need to pass protect. Maybe he's out there in 2 back sets. Maybe he splits, he's motioned out and they do some creative things with him. The nice thing about Jayden Blue is in the running back department, there is no one even close to his explosiveness. Is it Deuce Vaughn? Is that the other guy back there? Yeah. Like Deuce Vaughn, yeah, he's explosive, but
like
he's
5'2" or something.
He's a mighty mouse, right? Yeah. So Jayden Blue really is the only option there, and he has the potential to, like you're saying, catch a ton of balls. He caught 42 balls for Texas last year when he was utilized properly, 6 touchdowns. So when you're saying he's going to have 7 and 8 touchdowns, that's definitely possible. I would expect a few through the air.
Yep. Jesse, what about your thoughts on Jayden Blue?
Yeah, it was a rough wake up to the NFL for Jayden Blue, because if you remember the reports that came out a little while back about him being lazy, not having the work ethic, that's changed dramatically. The coaches have flipped how they're talking about him. They like what they see out of Jayden Blue because, like we talked about, he's the most explosive back they have in that backfield. What is interesting to me with Jayden Blue is, can he take a bigger, I think the receiving role is how he gets onto the field very early on this season. Can he chip into the rushing role? That's what I want to see out of Jayden Blue, right? Because coaches need to trust him to make the right decisions, be the running down back, to chip into what Miles Sanders and, when they mess up with Javonte Williams. Like, those guys are going to get a lot of the bulk of the carries. Can Jayden Blue chip into that? And then that's how you become more than just a PPR option like these leagues.
Right.
The way I'm looking at Jayden Blue right now is he has the PPR pass catching upside in one of the better offenses in the NFL. They're going to throw a lot. Dak is willing to check down if the guy is going to be there and do it, because the difference between Jayden Blue and the other guys is he can do a little bit more out of the receiving. He's not just going to do checkdowns. He can do a little bit more and push downfield, where he's an actual weapon. So I like him in leagues and PPR. And you're talking about, J.K. Dobbins. Yeah, J.K. Dobbins is about to be out of the NFL, probably out of this year. Like, it took him way late. So if you're going to trade him straight up, I love that move, because Jayden Blue is probably going to give you maybe similar production. We don't know how good J.K. Dobbins is going to be this year. And then you get the upside. So, his value's kind of weird in trades. It's probably like late 2, early 3rd range. So I'm fine doing that if you want to make that cost and take a shot on him, because what we talk about, the upside's there. And especially if it's like a Cowboys league and there's a guy that likes him, you could probably get him for more.
And with Dobbins, with your point on Dobbins, is probably out of the league. I mean, we say that because RJ Harvey is good, and RJ Harvey, I believe they would say his pass protection isn't quite there. It's good though, but he's more the pass catching, change of pace out of the back. But he can be a 3-down back. He has been that in college. And to Jayden's Blue point about early on in camp, look, there's some guys that go from high school to college to NFL, where they think they're the best, and that's good. Have that confidence. But you have to have that wake-up call saying, hey, whatever I did in college, I couldn't just wake up and do it in the NFL now, right? Everyone is good at the NFL at the next level. Sometimes it takes these guys a little bit to recognize, all right, I need a setback. I need to put in the work once again to become one of the best, because I was a good asset, at Texas. I was good in high school. I was all these things. But now I'm at this level. Everyone's good. I need to become better, and I need to increase this work ethic. So, I think he could be a buy, and he's someone that you can get low for sure. Let's go into some of our sells here. We'll let Jeremy see who we're going to do as our first sell. There you go. Dante Thornton. The sell here. We have Jamie said, I drafted 0 on him because I don't want blue ball. Doesn't want no blue balls. Hey, fair. It could be. That's exactly what it could end up being. Dante Thornton, guy that did get a lot of hype. We know the Raiders took him pretty good. Geno Smith is there. They have Jacoby Myers. They have Aston Gentry. They have Brock Bowers. So at best right now, Dante Thornton is probably 4th option, but there's some hype there. So why are we selling him here?
Yeah, the hype for me is just a little overblown. I was listening to Matt Waldman, great resource if you don't listen to him. But I really love the conversations that he has when he talks about kind of what he's looking at with scouting. And he was looking at, maybe you guys can give me the name, the guy who runs the Scouting Academy. He had an interview with him. Maybe it's Chris something. I can't remember his name. But the Scouting Academy, check it out. Our own Mike Anthony is starting up his Scouting Academy journey as well. But yeah, he was talking to him, and they were just having a general conversation about what to look for. Matt Waldman made an excellent point, and the point is that like a lot of these guys can for example, he used the example of Kyle Williams, right? A lot of these guys, if easy things play into their skill set, beat writers tend to kind of go off about them. So Kyle Williams, his strength is running deep patterns and catching the deep ball. And then all of a sudden he starts doing that in camp off the jump, and beat writers going crazy. Kyle Williams this, Kyle Williams that. But then it turns out Kyle Williams still needs some refinement in his route running. He still needs to, develop the full package. Deontay Thornton, I think, is in a similar boat. He's not the same receiver, but of course the jump balls that we've seen and are going gaga for, Deontay Thornton, he's a big guy. He's on the boundary, but I think that's where he's going to play. You mentioned Geno Smith. Geno is a phenomenal quarterback. He's actually going to have time behind his offensive line this season. But you mentioned it. The ball's not going to Thornton. It's going to Bowers. It's going to Genty for sure out of the backfield. It may go to Raheem Mostert more than we think out of the backfield. Sure. And it's certainly going to go to Jacoby Myers. Deontay Thornton is, like you said, at best the 4th option here. But I think he's probably more a sacrificial X, at least in year 1. He's going to play the boundary, and we'll see. I don't see him moving into the slot. We'll see how it's going, but the hype has been a little too hypey for me. I'm going to sell the crap out of Deontay Thornton if I can.
Yeah, this is a prime example of you taking advantage of the hype, because even then, they got him on their team, but he is a rookie that we know he's expendable in the sense that there wasn't heavy value necessarily taken for him, so there is opportunity to get him and sell on that hype. Jesse, what are your thoughts on Thornton?
Yeah, 100%. He's the type of guy that's a better NFL player than he's going to be a fantasy player. If you look at his production profile in college, it's straight up abysmal. Like, he's got one of the worst production profiles you'll see out of a wide receiver that people are hyping up. It tells you he never really earned targets at a high rate. He's not that for the Raiders. He serves a purpose, and he's playing that deep route because he has the speed, he has the size. He's basically a much, much worse version of DK Metcalf, and that's kind of my segue into that. But what I'm saying is, like, he's going to play downfield. He'll make some plays over the course of the season. Yeah, I don't see him going in the slot because they took Jack Beck to fill that role, right? So that's the expectation they have with him. Even though he's struggled, Thornton got on there just because the Raiders didn't really have any other good wide receiver in the NFL outside of Jacoby Myers. So he can slot in that wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 on that offense. Gino's a very good NFL QB, so they will connect. He seems more like a deep flyer best ball guy. I don't think you're ever going to start this guy in managed redraft league. So if you can get him like a good value on him right now, like I'd happily sell the hype on him and move off of him. I'm with you 100%.
If you have him in Dynasty, just tax him because you probably won't do much with it. But to your point, Jesse, you heard it here first at the FFU. Dante Thornton is the Temu version of DK Metcalf. But no, I think this is, again, a solid opportunity to sell because Gino is good. It's going to be interesting what they do with Carroll. They're probably going to run the ball to Jeremy's point where I think that's a running back you can buy super low too if you just want possible opportunity. He's obviously Gentry's the starter and Gentry's the workhorse. But yeah, Mostert may go in there and get goal line carries, or he may go in there on third down and do something just to get Gentry a break. Thornton, there's a lot in front of him just to make him valuable. To Jesse's point, a good NFL player, just maybe not transition to fantasy. You might have a big week for him where he gets a 70-yard touchdown just down the stretch. And it's like, awesome. But guess what? You probably didn't start him that week too. So, it's something where you just have to be worried about him, throw him in some packages just to get him off. And maybe you can increase that package from going from a third to a second or something like that as well. Yep. But I think he is worth the sell right now too, especially with some hype around him. And so our next one, who's our next guy that we're going to sell here?
It's that guy, DK.
Speaking of the Temu version to the actual version, Jesse, I'll let you explain why you're selling DK Metcalf.
Yeah, what Thornton reminds me of, before I get into Metcalf, is like Gabe Davis. He'll pop off, make big plays and stuff like that, but he's never going to be reliable in the NFL. So yeah, I'm with you. Why I'm selling Metcalf is he's reaching the age apex for wide receivers in Dynasty, and if you look at where he's going against wide receivers who are younger, probably going to produce similar. That tells you that it's basically we're just paying for production. And we get to the age when we're just paying for production. If you're not an elite producer, if you're not a top 12, top 6 guy, your value is going to tank. And this is going to happen to DK Metcalf because it is going to be extremely hard for him to put up like 1,200 yards in this Pittsburgh Steelers offense. Could he do it? Sure, he can do it. He's a very talented NFL wide receiver. Rodgers can still throw the deep ball. They will connect. They'll make good plays. But like, if you're talking about a guy that's going to give you 900 yards and 6 touchdowns, maybe 70 catches, like, that's not good production. So his value from where he's at right now is almost guaranteed to fall unless he has matches that season he had a few years ago where he was like the wide receiver 6. So where I'm at with DK Metcalf, he feels a need because that wide receiver room is about as bad as it gets in Pittsburgh. So he will earn targets. He's going to get there, but they're just not going to pass that much with Rodgers. Yeah. Rodgers runs the slowest pace in the NFL. Like, they're not going to pass a lot with Arthur Smith. You know what they're doing. They're going to involve the tight ends a lot. All this is just working against DK Metcalf for him to be a very productive NFL wide receiver. So I think he fills their need well. He's going to be good. But, like, for Dynasty perspective, he's almost guaranteed to collapse in value. So I'm trying to get out now while I can before people realize how bad it potentially could be for DK Metcalf in Pittsburgh. It's going to be far too up and down. So I'm out before the age really kicks in on DK Metcalf.
And this is part of the Rodgers effect, right? When you get a quarterback, a veteran quarterback that goes to a new team, you automatically want to think, I'm going to buy all these players because this quarterback's going to have upside. Rodgers, we could have a conversation on if he's the GOAT or not. He is a great quarterback. He's one of the best that we've seen play. News for y'all, DK Metcalf is not Jordy Nelson. DK Metcalf is not Devontae Adams. DK Metcalf is not Garrett Wilson. All those guys, I feel, can be effective in the slot. They have good route running mechanics. They have some good catching ability to them. He'll pepper them with targets. DK Metcalf will do that, but his routes aren't as smooth as those guys I just mentioned. he's not going to be moving to the slot. They have Calvin Austin or Roman Wilson for that. So there is going to be opportunity where, he's going to be going against these top defenders that already have played against Rodgers for maybe 5 years or more, right? So there's opportunity for it to be you're selling DK Metcalf on the name and on Aaron Rodgers, and that's good because there is some value that you can get there by selling them based on that. And sometimes you have to trade these guys based on their name value because the production might take that dip. Jerry, what are your thoughts? I mean, are you selling DK?
Yeah, I'm totally selling DK, especially if my team isn't contending. If I have to have him as my wide receiver 4, which because I usually go wide receiver heavy, that's where I am with him. It's not a bad situation to be in if I'm contending, but if I'm totally rebuilding, it's DK's a sell all day for me. Look, here's the thing: is that Geno Smith, and then of course earlier in DK's career, Russell Wilson, were trusting DK on the boundary and just throwing the ball deep to him. Aaron Rodgers operates on trust with his receivers as well. He just doesn't operate in that way, or we haven't really seen it in that way. He kind of prefers to operate as the guys separate and get open over the middle of the field and to develop that trust. Now, he can throw to the boundary, and you could argue he's never had a receiver like DK Metcalf that he had to rely on. At the same time, Rodgers is good enough, but at this phase in his career, he's not necessarily throwing the ball, like Wilson and Geno did 25 yards downfield on the boundary on a dime and just letting him go up and get the ball. You'll see that happen, but that's where DK kind of made his seasons. He had in 2020, he had 83 receptions and 1,300 yards. He only sniffed that reception total one more time on a career high 141 targets, and then only had 1,000 yards. He had banking on high yardage totals plus the touchdowns. If one of those things doesn't come through for you, he disappoints. If two of those things don't come through for you, especially as Jesse referenced in the Arthur Smith offense, it's going to be a problem. You're not going to be happy with DK.
Yeah, you want to go by Caleb Johnson if you're getting a Steeler, not necessarily DK. I agree. I think there's, to your point, Jerry, he's going to be relying on those touchdowns or that boundary as well. And again, that's something where Rodgers likes the slot guys, or like you said, the guys that gain that separation. I don't see DK Metcalf necessarily doing that separation like that, but it's because he doesn't need to. His body's really big where he can win those contested catches. He hasn't had to rely on that, but that's something that Rodgers looks at. Rodgers can't hit those tight windows, but we're also talking about Rodgers that we saw playing Green Bay, 5 years ago now or something? So there's time has changed. Rodgers isn't the best quarterback in the league as much as we want to think it. Yeah. He's not anymore. The league has changed. Jesse, what are you trying to acquire for DK? Because I feel like the name may get you at first, but it's going to be very hard and possibly. So you might not get that. What are you looking at?
You're probably having a cross positional. I think with my bigger issue with Pittsburgh is I just expect their defense to be too good and keep them in games. We're not going to see what the Jets did at the end of the year where they were just airing it out. Like, that just doesn't seem in the range of outcomes. With the Mike Tomlin team, they're probably going to be mediocre, so that's going to keep them up. I'm looking to go cross-positional. Like, he's really close to George Kittle. Potentially, you can do something like that. Maybe one of the other rookie tight ends, like Colston Loveland, Tyler Warren, those guys are right there. Chuba Hubbard's right there. Or you could just go younger at wide receiver. Like, you could go into, like, Ricky Pearsall, one of those guys, right? Like Jalen Waddle. All of these guys have very similar startup values where he's at. So you don't necessarily have to do wide receiver for wide receiver. You can move him for a running back. You can move him for a tight end. Maybe you move him into a quarterback like we just talked about for Jaxson Dart. I think you could probably do something along those lines. That'd be fairly easy to do. So I know it's hard to get future first. People hoard those things. So go outside of a future worst. Or use him and package him with a pick to move up tiers, do that way. So I think you can either move up, move down, or just move cross-positionally pretty easily with him. Just if you're trying to do a one-for-one slot for a first, it's probably going to be difficult because people know what you're doing. So look at people's teams, see who needs a wide receiver. If they're stacked or running back, go get one of them. You know what I mean? Like, go do that. Make it work that way.
Every league's different. You have to know what your league's value have. I mean, second my league starts typing up a guy that's on my team, I'm like, all right, cool, I'm gonna try to find a trade partner, right? Because it's like they'll buy in on that, right? So you have to know what your leagues are valued at. Jerry, do you agree with that, or are you looking for something different for DK?
100% agree. Yeah, because you can't get a first for him at this point. So do I want a second for DK, even if I think it's an early second? No, I'm just not doing that deal. I prefer to get a player at this point, like Jesse's saying. The one thing that I'm doing probably right now is I'm holding, right? And then I'm going to wait till he pops off in a game or two, hopefully early in the season, and then try to sell him. Will I get a first? Probably not. I can still make the transition into those guys and have a better sense of who's who in the season and buy low on someone. Like Jesse's saying, maybe Ricky Pearsall has a down game or two at the beginning of the season, then that trade will go through.
Yeah, and that could be a big one too, because I think you could get something on top of Ricky Pearsall too if you wanted to go out there and do something.
I doubt people will
Not
do
for
that
me,
right now.
but
I think Pearsall's a little hypey. I think people are excited, and I don't think you can get. It's hard trading DK in these streets these days. I've been trying. I don't think you can get Pearsall at the moment, but I think if things conspire for you at the beginning of the season, maybe you can make that deal happen.
Yeah, I think this gets in the bigger issue with wide receivers of when they have multiple seasons where they like let you down and they start hitting that age cliff, you want to jump out them a little earlier. So if we did this the year before with DK, when people are like JSN or DK, that's probably the time you sell DK because his value was much more insulated, right? And then you remove the risk because now he's pushing 28. So like if I'm looking at these wide receivers in general, and this gets into the Waddles and those guys as well too, like if you have questions about them, you can move them into a younger version. It's almost always a better move to just take the younger guy and tier down. So like I just think that's a good strategy to have.
Yeah.
There you go. There's some opportunity there. Sell on DK because it's not. You could probably get a better investment for something in the future than what you can right now. There for him. And our last guy that we are selling, I want to turn some heads here on this guy. It is going to be tight end, Chicago's tight end, rookie tight end, Colston Loveland. Now look, I know the hype's around him. I know we saw him in Michigan. He's an all-around player. He could, pass block. He could run block. He can go out there and catch it down the field as well. He could be something elusive. Why you will sell him though is because there's hype. Right for him. There's hype for this whole Chicago Bears offense. Ben Johnson's coming in. He's going to change the whole regime about it. He has Caleb Williams. They got Colston Loveland. They have Odunze, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, Luther Burden, DeAndre Swift, Roschon Johnson. You see where I'm going? There's a lot of names there for it. And Caleb Williams might not be able to feed them. He'll feed them all, but not to the point of where we want it. Does Loveland see that top 5 tight end that we think he is? He's great talent. But are we saying he's going to be better than or in the same tier as Kittle, McBride, even Bowers, those top 3? Or is it going to be Warren, who has less than the competition? You can say Josh Downs is there, Pittman, but Warren is the better of the tight ends. Cole Kmet is still a good red zone threat. He's still a big body that can be out there and be something big. I don't know if Caleb Williams is going to be able to – there's too many mouths to feed for any of them to necessarily be – that true fantasy relevance, in my opinion. There's hype on Luther Burden possibly being, there you go, Roschon, we love him. There's hype on, Burden potentially being the Amon Ra type of role. There's rumors that DJM hasn't found a spot. They're moving him around to different areas to see where they can use him. To me, I'm saying, all right, they want to move DJM around the field. Like you could read it as you want it, like, oh, that's bad. Or, all right, they're testing out new things that DJM might be something different. There's a lot of mouths here. I think because they took Colston Loveland in the first, there is way more hype on him right now than a not so great rookie season from Romo Odunze. You might be able to get something more for Colston Loveland and keep Odunze and do something out of there. Jesse, I'll let you start. What are your thoughts on selling Colston Loveland?
Colston Loveland was my tight end 1, and I was always considering the injury issue that he was coming off of. But dude, have you heard the hype around him the past couple weeks? They fucking love this guy, and he's blowing their doors off. So I am very treacherous on selling Colston Loveland. I get it because it's very the guy I want to sell actually is Luther Burden. I don't want to touch Luther Burden because DJM is basically him but an older version. So you got to wait a year or 2, right?
Right.
So I think, but yeah, I'm with you on the process of selling a Bears player. There's too many mouths to feed in that offense. I would just rather sell Burden, but I 100% get it. I think Loveland's just a really, really good tight end, and it could burn me. It's burned me before in the past. Probably could burn me again this year, but I need a good package to sell Loveland. So I guess it depends what you're selling him for. But if I'm moving him up into the elite tier of players, I'm fine doing that. It's more if I package down. I don't want to package down because I'm moving into a much worse position. So it's all about what you're selling him for. I think everybody has a price. So if you get the right price for him, I'm fine selling him. But he's a player I would prefer to hold personally.
So you have as tight end 1. You probably wouldn't get Kittle, McBride or Bowers straight up for him. I think those guys are all top tier. They're super valued at the tight end position. Is there any tight end outside of those, maybe Andrews, Kelsey, guys we've seen do it, that if you're competing, you say, hey, I'll do a 1-for-1, or do you need that plus on top of those tight ends? As you mentioned, like you don't necessarily want to package down, but these are still top tier in a sense.
Yeah, Kittle's close to him in ADP. I think you could probably do maybe not a 1-for-1 slot because the hype on Kittle right now is really high, but newsflash, Kittle's old. Kittle's not young, so I don't mind doing that, right? Yeah. But yeah, if you're selling him, I don't want to do like a Kelsey. I don't want to do any of those Andrews guys that are older guys or non-producers. Right. I would just go buy a super cheap like Njoku because I've been hyping him for feels like a year now. Somebody like that, the cheapest old guy you can get at tight end, and do that. If you're giving me like Kelsey, what do you got, a year with him? Yeah. So I would need like something like a sizable plus attached to Kelsey, and most people probably won't do that. At least that's how I look at it.
100%. Yeah, Kelsey's only a move if you're like, I'm winning this year. You are winning, which we don't know at this point of the stage. We all hope we are, but we're not going to know till later in the weeks. Jerry, what are your thoughts on selling Colston Loveland?
Yeah, I definitely don't want to do it. He's been my tight end one as well, but the case is there, right? I think that he is my tight end one over Tyler Warren, but Tyler Warren's going to have a better season. I think unless the fantasy gods conspire again to just like totally nuke Indy's quarterback situation, which could already be happening.
Riley Leonard to the moon.
Yeah, but I think Warren is quite clearly the number one target, and should be the number one target on that team. Colston Loveland is like the number 3 target on this team. Now that changes in a year or two from now. So that's really what I'm banking on with Loveland and Dynasty, is not this season. But like Jesse said, the hype sounds real, and it sounds like he could get a lot more work this season than we think. But SC, I'm scared off by Cole Kmet as well. I'm scared off by DJ Moore, who is being left for dead with his ADP. Right. Like he's all the way down to the 5th round for some reason. I don't get it. But yeah, so there is a case to be made because it's going to take probably a little bit longer, but it might not. So Colston Loveland, I don't want to sell him, but Jesse did mention you could get a package. Like, for example, I think you could probably get Loveland plus for a guy like Sam Laporta. And Sam Laporta is a guy that I'm happy to move off of for a guy like Loveland and get a nice little plus on top. Maybe you can get a guy in the Matthew Golden range. Maybe you can get a guy a little bit lower than that, or certainly probably a 2nd round pick with Colston Loveland for Sam Laporta.
Yeah, or package Loveland and try to get Bowers. He does have hype as being one of the top tight ends. You might have to give up a little bit more on that plus side, but you can still possibly do it. It's going to be interesting to see. And with players like Loveland, rookies in general, when it comes to this season, we're hyped. Cam Ward, we're ecstatic about. Caleb Johnson, we're ecstatic about. Travion Henderson, we're ecstatic about. Loveland, we're ecstatic about. But guess what? If the season comes and they don't produce as we want them to during that season, we definitely lose value on that. But that's something you have to either sync with, or you have to say, hey, all right, I'm going to go ahead and capitalize. And the downside is you may trade, and then guess what? Their value explodes for double of what you traded for. But with that said, that's why I do have Colston Loveland as a sell, because I think there is a lot of value. You might be able to trade it for a Tyler Warren and maybe a 2nd or something like that, because there is more hype possibly around Loveland, what he's doing with that offense. To Jesse's point, Burden's a good sell too. Both those rookies, because we know Odunze's good. Odunze showed it in college. He didn't have the season we wanted last year. DJM, we know, is good. We've seen it. He's one of the most consistent, underrated wide receivers there. Cole Kmet, again, big body, can get the tight ends. DeAndre Swift, good pass catching back. Just a lot of mouths to feed where I feel right now with the hype. There is value in Loveland, where once the season really begins, that value may go a different way, because we're not seeing him get double-digit fantasy points every single week. If so, it's maybe 10 at that as well. So, but those were our buys and sells. We just want to give you a few that we were going through it and talking about as well, that we thought we're seeing some hype on as well. That's it. I know, Jeremy, you're running this mock here soon. Yep. Do we have that one full yet? Is that full?
No, we're just starting it up right now, but it's starting to fill right now. I'd say we probably kick off in a little under 10 minutes, maybe 8 minutes from now.
Sweet. Well, make sure you are doing that. The link is in the chat there if you're looking to mock a full PPR mock here. just to get y'all's brain going again, just for the season, so we can get y'all hyped up on. For the official roundtable, though, that is it. Make sure you are tuning into the FFU. We have multiple shows happening during the week from our guys at Dynasty Dons, Mike and Rich doing the show. Jerry with Adjusted Ranks. Jesse joined us on the weekends for the roundtables and working on stuff behind the scenes. Myself and Spencer doing Devi Planet every Wednesday. And then every Saturday and Sunday, we're going to be doing some shows for y'all as well. So there is a lot to come in with the FFU. Make sure you are subscribing to us, joining today, and checking us out, because we promise we're bringing stuff here every week. 'Tis the season. College football starts next week, and then the week after we have the NFL. So enjoy your preseason games, sell this hype, watch your leagues, and everything you do. We'll talk to y'all then.
But SE, hang on, don't end the show. But if you
Okay.
guys are going to bounce to it, but we'll keep it on this show if that's cool.
Okay.
Just to run through. Are you guys joining? Are you staying, or you got to go?
I gotta run, unfortunately, but I'll do the mock off stream.
All right, sweet.
Yeah, I'm heading out as well. I apologize.
Okay. No worries, man.
I'll keep it
I
on
am
until you go
here.
live on the mock, so we can talk football.
Oh, sweet. Okay, sweet. So
Yeah.
let's pull this up. Let me see. Damn, I don't think Sleeper is allowing me to add the app anymore. I don't know if it's Sleeper or I don't know if it's
You can't show it on. Oh,
StreamYard isn't allowing me to add the app, so I have to
log in.
log in on the desktop, which is horrible, by the way. Let's see. We got the link in the chat here, so we're going to kick off in just a couple of minutes. Feel free to join up if you have the time. Guys, give me a second here as I set it up.
No worries. I did, speaking of Sonic Burden, I did just trade a first and Burden for Jared Goff in 2:27 seconds.
I like that.
Too.
That'll do it. That'll do the trick. Yeah, I think with that offense, you have to decide who you're investing in, because there's no way all those guys can eat, right? So you have to kind of make your case. And I think DJM, or not, I think Roma Dude is wide receiver one there, but the rest of them, you got to make your case. I like that move.
As you mentioned about Blue, Burden had some off-field issues too, like it was the attitude issues. So hopefully he got that right as well. Phenomenal talent. I think he's a great wide receiver. But again, it's gonna be what can he do to actually make the moves there. 'Tis the season to sell the first. I know if you're trying to compete and you're able to trade those first, go out there and try to see what you can grab for them, because yes, they're gonna gain in value once we really understand who's coming out for next year's draft class. But at the same time, if you know a team is already not necessarily competing or doing what they need to do to be one of the top teams or on the fringe of making the playoffs, go out there and offer them that first and say, hey, I have this, help you build up for next year. Give me this asset to help me go out there and, have a big season as well. So
for sure. We are almost full. We got 2 more slots to fill, and then we'll fire this up. This is just your standard PPR mock here. Mike jumping in.
Keep rolling, right?
Rolling.
What?
I used to love that when the Undertaker had that. That was great.
I'm so old. That was popular when I was young.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys, we're firing this one up. All right. So appreciate you coming in here, guys. But let's start this mock draft, and we'll see what it looks like. All right. We're filled. Are you guys hanging out, or are you guys bouncing?
I am going to head out.
Yeah.
But y'all have a good one. Enjoy the mock. Excited to see it here as well. I will hop on and let Jeremy take the reins.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Enjoy, man.
Good. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Maybe. Hold on.
Yeah, no good. All right, so let's see what we're working with here. So it's a full PPR mock, pretty standard stuff here. Maybe I can make myself a little bit bigger. There we have it. Let's not. We'll go Justin Jefferson at the 106. He seems to be the guy who falls to the 106 in most cases. Appreciate everybody joining in. L. Smith, what is up? Jamie, thanks for joining us here. Once again, just a pretty standard full PPR mock. If you look at the roster settings, which I will set up here in a second. Let's see. What are we working with here? All right. We got our roster here. So we're looking at, we got to cancel this. Okay, we're good. We're looking at 1 QB, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 2 flexes. Pretty standard PPR stuff here for you. And you see in the first round, we have Jamar Chase, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, CeeDee Lamb, and Jahmyr Gibbs. This is your top 5 in any order you prefer. I prefer this order, except Barkley is my 105 in this case. The Barkley Gibbs conversation in full PPR is an interesting one. I'm going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs and just that pass catching upside, but it's really hard to fade Saquon Barkley. We know that running backs do not year over year, and wide receivers year over year do not finish once again as the overall number 1 at their position. It's maybe why Jamar Chase won't do it again this year. He just had a crazy nuclear season a year ago, but I mean, it's really hard to argue with Jamar Chase, the 101. He's my 101. He should probably be your 101 unless you want to go Bijan. But yeah, I think Saquon takes a slight tick down just because of the all of the work he received lately. But if you want to take him to 103, I don't care. Go for it. For me, it's Gibbs, then Lamb. Actually, Lamb is my 103, so it would be Lamb, Gibbs, and then Barkley. But all of that said to say that Justin Jefferson for me is the clear 106 ahead of guys like Puka Nacua, of Christian McCaffrey. You could make that argument if you really wanted. I wouldn't fight you on CMC there at the 106, but I went with Justin Jefferson. You see an interesting situation developing here on the board. Brock Bowers is hanging out there 2 picks away. He just went. So not an issue there, but we got Drake London. We got guys like Bucky Irving hanging out as well. And AJ Brown, sneaky, but London went. So I'm forced to make a really tough decision between a guy like AJ Brown or a guy like Bucky. Trey McBride is there, but maybe a little bit early for me here. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Bucky Irving. I just think the hype right now is absolutely crazy for him coming out of Tampa Bay. He just looks better. They're very happy with him. Of course, Sean Tucker is there. Sean Tucker is a good back. Rashad White is there. Rashad White lived off of high efficiency in the receiving game last year. All of these things exist, but Bucky Irving just really took over the show for you last season. So I'm very comfortable with him in the mid-second round. You can see that, let's see, Bucky was, if I can pull him up here, we're trying to navigate the desktop here. So let's show the card. Not what Bucky did over the first half of the season, but what he was able to do over the second half of the season. You see it here. You see kind of lesser games here from Bucky, although better in the receiving game. He kind of even slowed down in the receiving game in some of these games, but he was still able, 88 yards, 152, 117, 113. The carry totals are really interesting for Bucky. So for me, that's what I'm kind of relying on is, he had his little injury hiccups throughout the season, but he's a dog. He's a workhorse. I'll take him over Jacobs. Chase Brown is an interesting name there, but I'm going to go with Bucky in the mid-second. Jamie is chatting it up. What's Jamie saying? At the 4 spot, going Gibbs, getting Jacobs on the turn, and then Hampton the first 3 picks. Really hard to argue with that. Hampton in the early to mid-third is kind of where he's going to end up. I think he's definitely worth drafting there. Love Hampton this season, even despite the Rashawn Slater injury. Josh Jacobs, no hate there. Complete volume back. Did it again last year. We keep hating on this guy. We keep fading him, myself included. Josh Jacobs just keeps producing. Jahmyr Gibbs, of course, at the 4. Yeah, that's, I think, where he belongs. So love it. Jesse saying he got stuck with BTJ as the app froze at the 112. Probably would have went Neighbors and Collins there. It tends to be what Jesse likes at the turn, although Genty would have been consideration, maybe Bowers. So don't mind it there. Jamie says, I need London in the early second, the 201 to the 203. London here going at the 206. So absolutely love that value on London. Speaking of value, Trey McBride fell to me, and that's exactly what I'm going to smash. I do enjoy, if you've been watching this series of mock drafts, I'm always leaving with one of these top 3 tight ends if I can get them at value. In most cases, I can. It's pretty crazy to see. So for me, absolutely grabbing that value there of Trey McBride in the middle of the 3rd. Very happy with that. In the 3rd round, you had Jonathan Taylor, Alvin Kamara, Ladd McConkey, Tyreek Hill, Kyron Williams, Trey McBride, T. Higgins, Jaden Daniels, and Jalen Hurts. 2 quarterback values there in the later 3rd round. Very happy with that. I'd prefer one of those guys as opposed to Lamar or Josh Allen. The other name that you can grab here is Joe Burrow. I actually have Joe Burrow ahead of Jalen Hurts. For better or for worse, he's just going to throw a crap ton of touchdowns this year. As I pour myself some water, you get some ASMR potentially. All right, let's see. So we got Wilson, we got Kittle, we got Hampton at the end of the 3rd. All really good values there, especially Kittle and Hampton. Mike Evans at the 401 is really hard for me. I can't pull that trigger on Mike Evans this year. He really fell off for me, where barely hit 1,000 yards last season. We know kind of the push to get him to that number, but what was he also able to do? And let's see if I can use the desktop to find. I'm so much better on the app that's connected. We got the game logs. Can I get the history here? I don't know what I'm doing here. We're going to cut that off. But Mike Evans, as I log in to the app to view his profile and easily grab the history, barely 1,000 yards last season. 110 targets is right in line. 74 receptions is right in line, but he was used a bit closer to the field. His yards per catch was down. Still ended up with 11 touchdowns. So that's good. But if those touchdowns fall off, you're not going to be happy with Mike Evans this year, especially above guys like James Cook. There's no way that I'm going to make that bet. I'm going to take James Cook over Evans 10 times out of 10. If you have Evans in a dynasty league, I think he's got a year left, but in redraft, I'm just kind of staying away. You see James Cook at the 4.2, love that value. Marvin Harrison at the 4.3, and Connor at the 4.4. Connor probably going a little bit earlier than you want, simply because of all of the Trey Benson hype. But Terry McLaurin is another one. You got McLaurin, you got Connor, you got Harrison. It's a really, really tough area of the draft. You got Breece Hall there as well. Joe Burrow is the value here, but I really hate taking an early tight end and an early quarterback. So I'm just going to pivot to the guy that I like. It's going to be Chuba Hubbard here. I like Chuba over Breece Hall this year. It's just Justin Fields, the quarterback, probably not going to give him the receiving work that we are valuing. We just talked about DK Metcalf. So DK is a no for me with Chuba. Devontae Adams, I would have smashed him in this spot earlier in the offseason. Now we're very concerned about the Matthew Stafford situation, if he's going to start all season. We've already seen Devontae Adams with Jimmy G. That's not necessarily a ride we want to take again. But Devontae Adams, 4.9, I think the value is okay. But if he slips to the 5th, Devontae Adams is absolutely a smash. We'll see. I don't know if he will. Rashee Rice is an interesting name. Hasn't been suspended yet. Will play the first month of the season. Do we believe that he won't be suspended? I don't see a way he avoids suspension this season. I think that's going to be really difficult to do. It also came out that the NFL was throwing around 10 plus games of suspension for Rashee Rice. If that is on the table in any effect, right? And we don't know exactly how valid this is all speculation. But if Rashee Rice is suspended for 10 games and you pick him in the 4th round, you've lost your fantasy league, right? Take TreVeyon Henderson, take Devontae Adams instead. Take Joe Burrow at value. There's no need to be taking Rashee Rice this high. He will be suspended. We're just waiting to hear what it's going to be. And we're not going to know because the NFL is waiting until the end of September to kind of make a ruling. So pretty crazy stuff there on Rashee. He's still going super high. Another guy going super high is Tyreek Hill at 3.4. It's just he's going too high for the risk that he represents. But of course, Jet 2 Holiday doesn't mind that. Jet 2 Holiday needs to make some videos, I guess, with that viral sound. Might as well do that with his Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams draft. Although the upside is there. Those guys are phenomenal wide receivers. If they can put it together despite their situations, despite health with Tyreek, despite, mental health potentially. Tyreek Hill seems to be going down the Antonio Brown track of potentially maybe too much CTE. I don't know. That's a pure speculation. But yeah, it's not looking good for Tyreek and Devontae, but Tet McMillan, absolutely love that pick there. Zay Flowers is on the board. DJ Moore is an interesting value. I'm probably going to go, oh, no, can't do it. It's the 5th round. So you know that what that means. That means Jameson Williams is on my team from any spot. I will take the upside on Williams. I've taken him over Tet. I'll certainly take him over Sutton. Absolutely over Rice. And then guys like Mixon, who isn't even, on the field right now. There's a lot of this, concerning secondary, tertiary, ancillary reports about Joe Mixon and his potential health issues. He's not practicing. There's no real timetable for return. The coaches are saying all the right things about, we expect him week 1. Is he going to be back week 1? I don't know. It just seems to be kind of a debilitating situation for Joe Mixon at this stage in his career, unfortunately, because he's been such a good back for so long and just really been the epitome of like kind of gritting it out through all of the myriad injuries that running backs receive in the league. But yeah, I can't touch Joe Mixon, especially when Jalen Waddle at the 5-7 are on the rise and could have phenomenal seasons. Devonta Smith next, then Xavier Worthy. These are 2 guys who are excellent receivers. I'm a little concerned about the situation. Of course, if Rice is suspended 10 games, that Xavier Worthy pick in the 5th round is money. There is some hype about Jalen Royals. Brashad Smith was someone else who's explosive that the team drafted. But Travis Kelce, just another year older. We need some explosion with Hollywood Brown hurt. Xavier Worthy in the 5th now feels nice to me. Previously, I wasn't taking him, but I do like that value now with the potential for a longer Rashee Rice suspension. We'll see. But with Worthy, you might have to wait. It's probably not going to be insane value in the first month. You're really taking Worthy with the hope that he's able to turn it in, up a notch or 2 for you in terms of fantasy production as the season progresses when Rashee Rice gets suspended. So here in the 6th round, I have Justin Jefferson, Bucky Irving, Trey McBride, Chuba Hubbard, and Jameson Williams. In the 6th, I don't need tight end. Hawkinson's there. Kelsey's there. I'm not interested in those values. Aaron Jones is an interesting one. Certainly think he's the more valuable back to own. He's going well ahead of Jordan Mason, although I do like the Mason pick as well. So he's interesting. Calvin Ridley is here. Jerry Jeudy is here. But if he falls, and he did, I'm going to go ahead and smash the draft button. I really like this back this year. We talked a lot about the Bears situation, but we didn't touch much on the running back situation. I really think it's DeAndre Swift or bust in year 1 of the Ben Johnson offense in Chicago. If Caleb Williams really is struggling, I don't know. It was one video. We'll see. But if Caleb Williams really is struggling, that's going to be a situation to monitor. But it could also mean more checkdowns to DeAndre Swift as a result. So, Burden not completely healthy in the doghouse, maybe not ready. Colston Loveland might not be able to get on the field as much with Cole Kmet there. Are we really running close to the line of scrimmage stuff and getting that 70% completion percentage that Ben Johnson's talking about, with everybody on the offense? Or are we trying to stretch the field a little bit, create some space as Ben Johnson's known to do, and then open it up for DeAndre Swift, who could play that Jahmyr Gibbs role, who did play the Jahmyr Gibbs role in Detroit before Jahmyr Gibbs came to town. So I do like DeAndre Swift, even though we assume Ben Johnson didn't, because of the fact that they shipped him out. Either way, he's the only guy there. Jamie commenting, going back to the point about Joe Mixon drafting Woody Marks in the 17th, 18th. Yeah, I mean, Nick Chubb is interesting to me, but he's not interesting to the Houston Texans coaches. Who was it? I keep thinking Raheem Morris is still there, but he's not. He's in Atlanta. Jamie, remind me who the coach is for Houston. I don't know why I can't remember. I forget his name all the time. But is it Lovey? No. who's in Houston. Anyway, but the coach came out recently and said that, Nick Chubb just, age catches up to all of us, which is never what you want to hear your head coach say about you. Now, Nick Chubb is coming off multiple surgeries and multiple years really out of the game at this point, certainly out of meaningful fantasy production at this point. And so does not seem like they're going to be relying on him in the absence of Joe Mixon. So Jamie is absolutely right. Woody Marks is the bet you want to make, but Dameon Pierce is an interesting name to monitor. He's cheaper than Woody Marks because he's all but forgotten, but he is a guy who can handle a bigger load. Woody Marks is not going to handle the load. It's hopefully going to be Nick Chubb, but if he's not up to the task, Dameon Pierce is a guy that I'm very happy to grab, and I have stashed him in a few spots just in case he ends up getting the bulk of the work in Houston. Let's go back to the draft here and take a look. So in the 6th round, from my DeAndre Swift pick at the 6-7, we have David Montgomery, Tony Pollard, Tyrone Tracy, Calvin Ridley, who I was eyeing up as well at the 6-11, and TJ Hawkinson. Moving to the 7th, it's Brian Robinson, Jacoby Myers, and Jaylen Warren. So I'm going to be on the clock here in a few picks. Aaron Jones is still there. That's an interesting selection, but Jerry Jeudy is there. We got some nice quarterbacks, even though I'm prone to wait on quarterback even further. We talked about my love for JJ McCarthy earlier in the show. I do like Evan Ingram as well and Mark Andrews. These are the tight end values that I enjoy. I'm not going to take either of those guys. Let's see who we got here. Chris Olave feels tough, but I have 3 running backs. I don't need Aaron Jones. I'm not going to take Aaron Jones. I know it's full PPR, so Aaron Jones would be an interesting add, but I'm going to go ahead and add to my wide receiver room and take Chris Olave, kind of left for dead. The talent is there. The quarterback potentially is not. The offensive line certainly isn't. Just kind of falling apart. Guys retiring, backups getting, hurt and out for the season. D'Amico Ryan. Sorry. Thanks, Jamie. D'Amico Ryan is the guy in Houston. Appreciate you. But yeah, it's just such an odd situation for Chris Olave because he should be much better than this. He has been much better than this, albeit in short spurts. But all of his numbers, all the metrics that we love for wide receivers points to the fact that Chris Olave is a great wide receiver. Will Tyler Shuck or Spencer Rattler or whoever, Jake Hayner, will they be able to get him the football is the question. Do I have a huge preference between Chris Olave and Aaron Jones? I do not. But I went with Chris Olave because I wanted to round out my wide receiver room here early, and we'll see how we like the build. After Olave, it's Khalil Shakir, it's Deebo Samuel. Deebo's interesting. Terry McLaurin, the reports today or yesterday were that he is going to report and he's going to start to ramp up and condition his body to be ready for the regular season. There is, however, no contract in place or really expected at this point. That is concerning. But really, the Commanders have to get something done here. It's absolutely ludicrous to look. Terry's probably asking for too much money. That's probably true, but I'm all about these guys getting their money. They put their bodies on the line every day. I don't care what position they play. And if Terry wants to go get the bag so that he can secure his future, far be it for me to, argue with that. You're getting him here in the 4th round, even though he hasn't reported. He's going to be on the field week 1 regardless. So, I think a lot of this has just been leverage in the media, and we're kind of, stuck on every word and hanging on it to see exactly how things go. But Terry should be there. But Deebo's look good as well. In fact, I think Terry being there benefits Deebo Samuel as the clear second target. Zach Ertz he does it every year, and I enjoy where he goes later in drafts. And I'm happy to take him as a second tight end and hopefully benefit from that. At the same point, he's just so old. Ben Sinnott, at some point, we hope will take over. But the real answer is Deebo Samuel there in Washington as the second target, certainly over Austin Eckler as well at this point. I'm on the clock. Evan Ingram is on the board, a great value, but I already have Trey McBride, so I'm not going to do what I do typically and take a bunch of tight ends. I'm stuck between Steph Diggs and Travis Etienne. I'm going to go Diggs. Again, Travis Etienne, I really like the value on him. I think he's going to be somebody who you're going to be able to start in your flex weekly. He's in the Rashad White role in this Liam Cohen offense, but he is, I think going to get a lot more usage than Rashad White was getting. Tank Bigsby or Bashal Tootin, pick your flavor, whoever you like. I prefer Bigsby, but we'll see if Tootin can push him. Maybe he already is, but Travis Etienne is going to get the work there. I just think here, part of it may be homerism, that being a Pats fan, but part of it is that Steph Diggs is just too damn good, and he's the clear one. And if we look at my build here without a quarterback so far, which is usually my norm, I've got Bucky, Chuba, Justin Jefferson, Jamison Williams, Trey McBride, DeAndre Swift, Chris Olave, and Steph Diggs. The Olave-Diggs combo as my wide receiver 3 feels good to me. And of course, if Swift or Chuba or Bucky go down, I feel like I have a healthy, productive guy to plug in one of these guys, whoever ends up on my bench more often than not. If we look at the board here in the 8th round, it's Godwin, Jonnu Smith, J.K. Dobbins, and you still see Ingram hanging around. If he lasts another round, I'm going to smash his value. ETN, of course, I'm going to go ahead and actually queue these guys up. Ricky, not that guy. Oh, Ricky Pearsall was just taken. I was about to put him there. Look, Ricky Pearsall is a really nice value right now. Just not comfortable taking him above the clear one in Steph Diggs. I think if everybody's healthy in San Francisco, Ricky Pearsall is probably the 3rd target. And then, does Brandon Ayuk come back and assume his role? Does Juwan Jennings take that? I just think Kittle's the clear one that we know that CMC can command 100 targets. Has done it before. So for me, Ricky Pearsall is, 3rd target on the team. Steph Diggs is the clear one. So I'm going to go Diggs over Pearsall, but it's close. Egbuka, late 8th, early 9th. That's where you're usually seeing him. I ended up taking him at the 8-1 a couple of mocks ago, but you'll see him go in the 8th round, typically the 9-1 here. Just an awesome value, but every single time Godwin goes over Emeka Egbuka, we do not know when Chris Godwin will be on the field again. His foot twisted the other direction 180 degrees, ripped a bunch of ligaments, broke a bunch of bones. I believe it was a spiral fracture. Who knows? But it was just so difficult for him to recover. He will, but when is the question, as I'm on the clock, and I really hate every value here except for that of Evan Ingram. So I'm going to go ahead and smash him here. Again, talking about guys who have the potential to be the one. We love Cortland Sutton, but Cortland Sutton had 0 competition. His main competition was Devon Bailey last year for targets. Evan Ingram is legit. He's been a target magnet before. He's going to be used properly in this offense. So we'll see. Do I prefer Cortland Sutton to him? Yeah, at ADP, of course. And you see that reflected here. Sutton going at the 5.2, Ingram at the 9.6. But the value of Ingram, especially plugging him in at the tight end position, I certainly like it over Loveland, who we talked about earlier. Not expecting a ton from him in year 1, that we think he'll have some good games. And then Njoku, what's the quarterback situation? Give me Bo Nix, give me Sean Payton with Evan Ingram instead of whatever the heck is going on in Cleveland right now at QB. Jordan Reed after that. You see Javonte Williams and Najee Harris going in between. Najee Harris's eye is a problem. Will he play week 1? We don't know. He's barely practicing. If you listened to us yesterday, Evan Silva had a pod on JJ Zacharysen's pod, actually, where he said he's got an optometrist friend who said eye injuries typically heal in about 3 days. Of course, this is all conversational. This is all speculation. But the fact that Najee Harris has been out for 6 weeks with an eye injury, he's barely practicing, certainly not taking contact. So this Silva's optometrist friend was saying that there may be concern for the long-term health of the eye in keeping the eye. So again, all speculation. We don't know, but I'm not touching Najee Harris in the 9th, 10th, 11th. He's off my board. And I want all the Amari and Hampton I can get. You see Hampton went at the 312 in this draft. That's great value on Hampton. I need a quarterback, and Brock Purdy is staring me in the face. I do like that value, but I also prefer Dak Prescott even more. Yep, I'm going to go Dak here. In the 10th round, I don't think it gets much better than a guy who's just going to chuck it 500 times all over the yard pretty easily. And, he's going to push Tony Romo levels of Dallas greatness and just huck the ball. Now, will he throw double-digit interceptions? Almost assuredly. I love Dak, the quarterback, but the offensive line is deteriorating here for Dallas, sadly. But thankfully, Micah Parsons isn't showing up and not getting deals. So will all of these things work themselves out? Probably. But one thing is for sure, Dallas doesn't really have much of a running game. So it's kind of Dak Prescott throwing the ball 30 times a game, and you can probably book that in the 10th round. I'll take that all day, especially over Brock Purdy, who, is going to live off of high efficiency, which he likely will. His touchdown rate has been superb. You chalk that up to Kyle Shanahan's offense, but I do want Dak. Now, Justin Fields is an interesting one. I typically prefer the upside of Fields over guys like Dak and Purdy. And to be completely honest, I just didn't see him on the board. He goes far too late, but this is really what I like to do. If that Leslie Chow ended up with popping out of the trunk naked to grab Justin Fields and Drake May, that is an excellent pairing toward the end of your drafts to solidify your quarterback position. Speaking of solidifying the quarterback position, I have some options. I'm not going to do them. I do want to do this in the 11th round. I will take Trey Benson. You see the other names going around him. We already talked about Nick Chubb, Zach Charbonnet, Ramondre Stevenson. Trey Benson is the only guy that I want from that list. Other running backs still available, and I'll click it so you can see it. Jayden Blue, Tajay Spears, who's hurt, Austin Eckler, Rashad White, Garendo, Tootin, Sampson, right, with Quinshon back. So, yeah, for me, Trey Benson all day there at the 11. And if JJ McCarthy falls back to me, I might consider him. But Dak really is a set it and forget it guy, although you probably want some upside. So if I'm drafting Dak Prescott, I probably end up with like an Anthony Richardson in the final round of my draft, just to kind of wrap things up. But let's take a look at the team here. We got Dak at QB, Bucky, Chuba, JJ, JMO, Trey, McBride, DeAndre Swift, Chris Olave, Stephon Diggs, Evan Ingram, and Trey Benson. So very happy, very well balanced in this situation. And I'm going to leave quarterback alone, but you can see who's still left on the board. Plenty of value late at QB. I'm very happy to sit and wait at quarterback. If you look at tight end, Jake Ferguson is fine, but he's really not going to pop for you. And I think a lot of this can be said about all of these guys here in this range. Mason Taylor, not going to pop for you unless there's an injury ahead of them. Wide receiver, I usually don't like to take the shot, although I will take the shot on Pop Douglas. Let's look at running back. Sampson was a guy I was taking. JCM, Bill is there. Manungai, Hunter. I will grab Pop because, look, it's just the way it is. In a Josh McDaniels offense, you want the running back for your PPR play, and you want the high volume guy. I'm happy with Diggs as well. Would have been nice to get May maybe to stack it up and take him at the 10:07. Do not hate that approach. Went with Dak, still comfortable and happy with where I ended up. As the draft ends up, we got Demario Douglas at the 12:7, Rashad White at the 12:8, Dallas Goedert at the 12:9, and a few picks left to go. So we're going to try to do it and get through here. There it is. Zach Ertz, Keenan Allen, buried in ADP. What are you doing? Great pick there. So I have to be careful. Yeah, Jamie, that's the concern. Will it happen? How much do you value that piece of information that's secondhand from an optometrist? But I trust Evan Silva for sure. So, he's always someone giving great advice in the fantasy streets. So that's something I'm definitely considering. So the draft is over. Let's recap it. But yeah, the Najee, I'm not touching Najee Harris here. All right. So we went through my team. Let's take a look at the full draft here. And you can see a couple of things. First of all, Jesse Moeller, who was just on the show, but had to run, but was able to jump in the draft. He probably goes Neighbors and Collins instead of Neighbors and Thomas, but not terrible there as well. He did say BTJ. He timed out by accident there on that pick, but gets Hampton in the 3rd, Mike Evans, Zay Flowers, Quinshon Judkins in the 6th at the 6-1. You really need to go ahead and get Quinshon Judkins. Feel free. You're going to have to now reach for him in the 5th, but ahead of Mixon at the 5-5, absolutely. Ahead of Harvey, I probably would at this stage, early 5th round, go ahead, get Mixon Judkins in the 5th, but I'm taking JMO still. That's up to you. You got Tyler Warren at the 7-12 for Jesse, Aaron Jones, Michael Pittman, Tank Bigsby, stealing my guy at the 10-1, JJ McCarthy, my other guy at the 11-12, Bashal Tootin. So really like this squad from Jesse. He is set up nicely. Got the Warren value at tight end and JJ late. Just before him, T-Hoff, Thoff, whatever you want, Derrick Henry, Nico Collins, George Kittle. So gets the early tight end there with some studs up top. James Cook, George Pickens, love the value on Pickens. DJ Moore, crazy value there. Judy and Golden, excellent values as well. Najee is a no for me. Charbonnet is a no for me. You're just going to be waiting on those guys. Najee certainly isn't a league winner at this point, but Charbonnet could be if Kenneth Walker goes down. Tillman also a no. Again, QB situation. And Stroud, yeah, could bounce back. They're going to have to throw it a ton, but give me a guy who runs a little bit more than CJ does and didn't have a down year, so I'll take McCarthy over him. I'll take Love over him as well. But yeah, that's a great team as well. The weapons there outside of quarterback and backup RB for me are fantastic. As I think my wife is popping popcorn in the back, we're going to wrap things up here in a minute. But you see a couple of things from this draft. You see the value of early quarterbacks. Early quarterback for me, I'm just not smashing that draft button. Really prefer the early tight ends. And then you can take the middle rounds. This is my approach all the time. You stack up on those high upside running backs, wide receivers, the guys who are going to help you build out your depth. I have no issue taking 2 tight ends, especially with a high-end tight end. Am I going to take them out? No, but the question is, who am I going to flex? And Evan Ingram, for me, has flex appeal, especially in that offense. I want the guys who have potential to be the one in their offense. Evan Ingram offers that. He's at worst the 2. So this is no issue there, smashing Evan Ingram in this case. Jamie, gotta love it. If you don't draft your last, hey, but appreciate you trying to join up. We'll hit you up tomorrow, Jamie. But that's going to be it for us today. We've been on this stream far too long. We are the Fantasy Football Universe. We are here every single Saturday doing a Fantasy Roundtable. So please like and subscribe if you like this content. Follow along. We're doing mock drafts, 30 mocks in 30 days here in August. It's usually myself, but a lot of other guys have joined in. Ryan Prosick's been on a show. Jesse Moeller, who was just on here, has been on a show. We've had a couple of other good guests, Ben McCown. Jamie, if you want to jump on a show here and do a mock with me, let me know. We can make that happen. But a couple of things before we get out of here. The biggest one is use promo code FFU on Fast Draft for 100% first-time deposit match up to $25. If you have not used Fast Draft yet, it's a very, very good platform. Unfortunately, I can't access it here in Amsterdam, but you should be able to access it in most states for yourself. So check it out. Download the app, use the code, and get $25 free on us. Use the code FFU. Trying to find the button. There we are. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up. I am Jeremy Schulman. This has been the Fantasy Football Universe. Thank you so much for joining us for the roundtable, for the mock draft. We will be back tomorrow with another one, so make sure you jump in that one, and we will see you next time.
FFU. FFU.